Hello everyone, welcome back to my booktube. I'm a romance reader and I love all things to do with books, so if you like this sort of content, don't forget to subscribe and let's get into the video. So for today's video, I'm going to be doing my very first reading vlog of 2025, and the book we've chosen to do it on is Hooked by Emily McIntire. So if you have watched my previous bookish vlog, I actually went into Waterstones and I saw this book, I read the first page and I thought, that sounds good. So I looked on Kindle Unlimited, I found it on there and I thought, you know what, we're going to do a reading vlog on this because this sounds good. This is obviously a dark romance. I have never read a dark romance before, so I'm going to be seeing how it is and how I feel about it. Obviously there's trigger warnings at the beginning of the book, but let's just see how it goes because so many people love this series. And when I went into the charity shop today, I actually saw the last book in this series and I was like, right, I'm not going to pick that up. Let's just see what the first book is like. If I don't like it, probably won't read the rest of the series, and I don't want to have the last book in the series if I don't like the first one. We're going to see what this one's about and see how I feel about it because so many people love it. And like I say, first dark romance, so we're going to see if I'm going to like it. Hopefully it's very smutty because I'm in the mood for smut, like a lot of smut. So we're going to go with this one and see how we go. Also, I still have my Christmas Kindle insert, but it is currently the end of December as I'm filming this, so this is why this is still on. But as you see in this, it's quite a while away. So, yeah. And this is the dedication that I liked when I saw it. So it says, for anyone who has been the villain in someone else's story. And I think that's what wanted me to read it, because I was like, that, there we go. The first sentence, it feels different than I thought it would, killing him. Oh God, what have I got myself into? And it's short chapters, look, 4 minutes. That's what we like. Neverland. Neverland. Oh, it's kind of like a spin-off to Peter Pan then, because she's named Wendy, so it's a spin-off to Peter Pan, because the guy in the bar is called Hooked. Oh, okay, so it's a dark romance to do with Peter Pan, I guess, inspired by. Sounds interesting so far. So I've just read one chapter, I'm going to leave it and then we're going to move on to the next bit. Hopefully this Emily McIntire is going to be an author that I like, and I like this series. So far it's pulling me in, and I've only read one chapter in the prologue, so we're going to have to see. We're going to have to keep going with it and seeing what we think. What? I thought I was reading about a man. Oh. Oh, do you know what? This is going to be good. I know it's a retelling of Peter Pan, but I just think it's the darker version. I know that sounds so sick. That sounds so sick, but I'm interested to see what the spin-off of it is like. Yes, good, good, good. I'm going to change this as well, I think, because it's annoying me. This book has literally got me hooked. I am 30% of the way through, I think. Let me have a look. I'm 32% of the way through already, this book. They are short chapters. It is a dual point of view. It is quick, snappy, it's getting to the point. And I'm actually thoroughly enjoying it. Which I'm quite surprised, because obviously it being like a retelling of Peter Pan, sort of, but like the darker side of it. I didn't think I would like it, but him, he's got a dirty mouth. He's got a fucking dirty mouth on him. I'm hoping he ends up falling in love with her properly and not just using her for porn. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, obviously he wants to get back at Peter, but I hope that's where it ends. And he eventually falls in love with her properly and they get together. But you never know. But it is quite sick. And dark, which is obviously why they give you the trigger warnings at the beginning, but I'm actually thoroughly enjoying it. Is that weird? Is that weird? I don't know, but I like it. I'm liking it in a minute, and I think I'm going to finish this quite quickly, to be honest. to say that I'm 32% of the way through already is a good judgment, and I've only had it for 2 days, so I know that this book I think I'm going to read so fast. So yeah, just thought I'd give you a little update. I'm enjoying it so far, and we will see about the rest when I eventually get round to it, because it's making me hooked. He's got a dirty mouth on him, but I love it. I'm now 71% of the way through this book, and let me tell you, this book literally has me hooked. I have not stopped reading it. I've had to literally force myself to stop reading it so I can go to bed or do whatever I need to do, because so I'm on chapter 34. I am 71% of the way through. Here, there we go. I'm 71% of the way through, so I know that I'm going to finish it very, very soon, because I only started reading it at the end of December and it's now the first week of January and I am nearly close to reading it. The reason why I've been so quick to read it is because one, it's got snappy, quick chapters, and two, it gets to the point, and I like that in a book. If it don't get to the point and it's still like 20, 30 20 pages to a chapter, I'm like, oh, it just drags, because I've got this thing where I have to put the bookmark, or I have to stop at the end of a chapter. I can't just stop in the middle. I have to finish a chapter before I stop finishing the book, if you know what I mean. So yes, I'm going to carry on finishing this. I think I'm going to finish it by the end of probably today as I'm filming this, because I need to know. I need to know what happens with Wendy, and I need to know what happens with James. I really want them to realise they actually fall in love with each other. I'm just hoping they end up falling in love with each other, because James is now thinking in his head, oh, hang on a minute, she might not have anything to do with what her dad was doing to me, because they've just gone to the ball, and, well, say ball, charity ball, whatever it was, and she had to go with him and do as she's told and not make a murmur. However, she ends up seeing her dad there, and her dad's like, what on earth are you doing here? And she's like, how did he not know that I was not around for however long I was locked up for? And she's fuming at him because he didn't come for her, and they ended up meeting at this ball, and he's with this woman called Tina Bell, which is Tinkerbell, and she's a bit of a bitch basically, and he's put all his time into her and forgot about the rest of the kids. So she's fuming at him, and she starts arguing with him and saying stuff about him and saying stuff to him, and he's like, you need to get away from him, like he's no good for you. And she's like, how do you know? How do you fucking know? Because you have not even realised I've been gone for this amount of time. And then in his head, because obviously James is sat next to her, he's like, maybe she hasn't got anything to do with him, because the way she's reacting, why would she have anything to do with him why would she have anything to do with what her dad's planning to do if she's carrying on like this? But he's like, still on his guard. I think, is it a front, is it not? But I think he's going to realise, actually, she doesn't know what the hell is going on, and she's not part of it. And I think he's going to realise, oh, actually, maybe I've done it wrong, and I just took a precaution for myself, but actually I really love her, and if I am going to technically kill her, then he's not going to kill her in the end, because he's fallen in love with her. And I feel like that's where the story's going to go. It's just, I don't know what it is. I just never thought I would fall in love with a retelling of Peter Pan, but like the dark version of it, to be honest. But I like the idea that it's coming from Hook's side, so Peter Pan is the villain in this side, and it's not really Hook. Like, that's what I like. I don't know, I like that fact that Hook's not really a villain, it's just what his past has happened to him that's made him the way he is. And I feel like Peter in this side is the villain. He's the one that's being horrible, he's the one that's done the damage, and now Hook's trying to get him back for it, because he's like, well, you killed everybody that I love, so now it's time for me to do it back to you. So he's only getting payback. But I've been obsessed, I've not stopped, and I finally changed my back of my cover of my Kindle as well. But yes, I'm going to carry on reading this now, because I need to know what happens. Oh, I'm so excited, like honestly, I'm glad this is the first book I picked up in January, because I didn't think I was going to. I'm literally taking a thumbnail, and as I'm doing it I can see a Tinkerbell snow globe over there. So the last bit I actually filmed for this, I said I was going to sit and read and carry on. Well, I didn't. I got distracted and did other stuff, and then completely forgot to film the rest of it. So I'm still on 71%, I still haven't finished the rest of it, so I'm just going to actually sit now and continue reading this. This Mora girl, honestly, she just wants... I can't stand her. So I've now finished Hooked, and let me tell you, I actually really enjoyed this book. Didn't think I was going to like it because of it being a retelling of Peter Pan, but I did. And I think I liked it more because it was a bit more dark and adultified rather than just a complete retelling of Peter Pan, the child version of it. So yes, this book was a bit of me. So I did give it 4 stars. It took me around about 8 days to finish, which is pretty good for me. And yeah, like I said, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the storyline of Hook having the happy ending rather than Peter Pan. So if you have not read this story before, then Peter is Wendy's dad instead of being a brother. And then you've got the mentions of John as well, which is a brother. And then obviously Hook in it as well. So the characters are still the same, but they're just switched up a little bit. So I'm going to tell you what I thought in my reading journal. So I've wrote it down, so if you can see me looking down, then that's where I'm looking at, so I don't forget. So even though Hook was the bad guy in a sense at the beginning, and the reasons why he did what he did is only because of what people have done to him. So that's why he was the way he was, and not because he wanted to be like that. It's because he basically wanted to get his own back because of what everybody else had done to him. So he's like, right, you've got rid of my family, I'm going to get rid of yours. And I feel like that's the sentiment that I was getting from this book. Rather than him being a full-on bad guy, he only did it because of what had happened to him as a child. And I don't know, I just really like this story. I didn't think I would like it, but James in this story, he was a bit tapped in the head, but I don't know why, I just liked his character. But he was on edge about everything because of obviously what had happened, and he was a bit like, right, I am going to get Peter back because of what he's done, and I'm going to make sure that I get him back, and I'm going to kill him. However, obviously he's suspected other people around him after a little bit, and then, you know, people around him end up getting into the shit because of what he's trying to do, and he doesn't realise that, but he's obviously trying to look after himself and his own back. Which I don't want to say who it is because otherwise it will spoil the story, but most of the time obviously he was only doing it because of what was happening, and he wanted to make sure that everything went smoothly, so he got his own back and he got his revenge. But I like the fact that even though this was a retelling of Peter Pan, it wasn't like a fairy tale. It wasn't the fairy tale-fied book, it was the adult dark version, which, like I said, really enjoyed that bit. And I like Hook as a character because, I don't know, I just really liked it. And I also like the dedication in this book as well, because I think when I went into Waterstones, I read the dedication in this book. I normally don't read them, to be honest, but this one caught my eye and I was like, that is a bit of me. And I think that's what brought me into reading this book. So yes, it was a little bit fucked up in a sense of, I can't think what chapter it was now, to be fair, but there was a bit in it where something happens and somebody finds out something, and I was a bit like, oh, that's a bit weird. But then I think, well, it's already happened, so I think, well, there's no point in going back now. So it's already started, so you might as well finish it. And then Wendy, she was sort of left in the dark a lot of the time, and she didn't have a clue what was going on. She had obviously met this person in the bar, but she didn't have a clue who he was and that he had beef with a dad. But she just sort of started to fall in love with him because of how he was with her, because he was straight up with her, he was honest with her, and he told her straight, whereas everybody else used to treat her as if she was a kid still and kind of hid her from everything. And she was like, no, I'm old enough now, I need to know, I want people to tell me what the fuck is going on, and this man is treating me as if I'm a normal person and tells me what I'm doing. And even though something happens between them two, she still ends up falling in love with him, which is kind of a bit fucked up because of what happens, but you sort of see why he did it. And even though he was threatening to kill her, which I've just sort of spoiled it, but even though something happens between them two, which is a bit fucked up, it still worked. And I think that she knew that and he knew that. And then, yeah. Anyway, I'm not going to go on too much because I don't want to spoil it if you do want to read it or you haven't read it yet. But there was a twist at the end. There was definitely a twist at the end. And I sort of had a feeling that this character was up to something, because I thought, it's a bit odd, something's happening here. But as I kept reading on, I didn't realise what was actually happening. Like, I didn't know what was happening previously, but I knew this character had something to do with it. And I was quite shocked, and I was like, of course it has to be them. So yeah, I 100% love this book. I really enjoyed this book. I will go on to read more of the stories, because obviously there's 4 of us in the series, which I know a lot of people don't like to start series if they haven't finished other ones, but I think I'm really not bothered about that. Like, if I like the series and I want to keep picking it up, I'll pick it up no matter when it is. And I think if this is how it carries on, I don't know if the other stories are based on different fairy tales or whether it follows this same story. I'm not sure, but so if you know, let me know. But I don't know what else would happen with Hook and Wendy, because the ending how it was, it doesn't really need anything else. So I don't know if the other stories are based off other fairy tales. So this has been a really good reading vlog for a book, because the last 2 I didn't really enjoy. So it was a bit like, I feel like I was just putting a negative reading vlog out all the time. But I was just being honest. I'm just being honest of whether I like a book or not. If I don't like it, I don't like it. And this one I actually thoroughly enjoyed. Like I said, I'd heard people talking about it, but I didn't really know what it was about until I started reading it. And I think that was the best way, because I think if I'd have known what it was before reading it, if I'd known that it was sort of a retelling of Peter Pan, then I'd have been like, no, I'm not really interested. But because I didn't, I just sort of picked it up on a whim and just read the first page, and I was like, oh, that sounds good, and then carried on. I think that's why I enjoyed it more. So yes, 110% recommend if you have not read and you want that bit of dark romance, sort of thriller kind of book, and you're really in the mood for it, then I definitely recommend this one. And I think a lot of people do like it, and then you've got the other half that are like, oh, this is really fucked up, which it is really fucked up. But I just think it's just a better way of telling Peter Pan. Which I feel like if this was made into a film, I would watch it. That's what my opinion is. If this was made into a film, I would definitely watch it. But I'm not going to keep going on. This was a really good story. I really enjoyed it. I like the dark side of it. And that Hook gets the story instead of Peter Pan. So yes, I really enjoyed this book. And James Hook, I know you're a bit tapped in the head, but there's reasoning as to why you are tapped in the head, and I can understand your actions. I get it. So yes, you could be a bit of me. Which is fucked up. But anyway, like I say, really enjoyed this book, and I would 110% recommend. So let me know if you have read this book and what your thoughts was, and let me know if the other books in the series are based off of other fairy tales, or are they all following the same fairy tale. Let me know. If you did enjoy this video, then please give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.